At Chinese restaurants, the soy sauce is nothing like the soy sauce that you would get if you just got some Kiko man and poured it on there. The duck sauce, I don't know what that is. It looks like something that you would put on a cream cheese and jelly
I
sandwich.
like it, but you're right. It's usually very bright orange. Like, I don't
Very
think when
weird.
you go
Yes.
there, it doesn't look like that.
Never.
It's like an orange. Like, why is it so orange? It's like neon. Like,
And the biggest fraud this side of Sam Bankman-Fried is Chinese mustard in a package. I don't even know what that is. You'd be better. I would rather put Goulden's mustard, which I love, but on fried rice, it's not necessarily the kind of condiment that you would want to apply there. I would much rather put that on there than the stuff that comes out of the packages. So the issue was, if you ask for the house mustard, which is great, I mean, it really is. It not a perfect compliment, Lubie? I don't know how you feel about it.
I didn't grow up with the house mustard. So.
I love that rush that you get when you get, some of it sticks to the spoon as you're stirring it in there. And then, you take that one bite when you're just like, okay, I'm going to grab a bite here before you sit down and start eating this stuff. And then, boom, all of a sudden your head explodes. You have ideas that come to you that you've never, ever conceived of before. Beautiful women flash before your eyes. And then you go, wow, I still have this whole bowl of fried rice. It just makes the dish.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
This will probably get me targeted by the cancel culture, although I don't know that it matters in this particular medium anymore. I don't know that anything matters anymore at this stage. Can you really be canceled with the cancel culture for saying something that might be construed as offensive? But this happens to be true. And I remember this distinctly when I used to go to the Jade Garden in Merrick, New York. Well, this was in New York City. There was a place called there's a Jade Garden in every city.
I was going to say, I guess that's just a common thing.
Where is your Jade Garden?
The one by the Broward Mall in Plantation. My parents used to go all the time. The lady was classic. The lady would yell at you.
Yes.
And my dad loved it.
And this is always, indelibly impressed upon me whenever I go into a restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, a takeout restaurant, and have an issue, which wasn't really an issue, that thing with the house mustard and the 50-cent charge. It's okay. Look, 50 cents, you don't even keep your change anymore, right? When a guy asks you for spare change, you say, I don't have any because I just throw all of it out the window.
Pretty much.
Just a second ago, right? I mean, who even wants it? It's annoying. It's the kind of thing you only discover that you have when you are washing your pants.
Yes. Yes.
Fuck, I had change in there. Or you inordinately go through the metal detector at the airport and you just had gotten change from a cup of coffee and you left it in your pocket and like, man, 6 feds are on top of you, pinning you to the ground and tasing you, hitting you with, what was that thing that those cops gave that poor kid in Colorado? My God, where they injected something into his neck to calm him down, even though the kid was fine. All of those cops are getting off, by the way. But at the Jade Garden, whoever the woman was, a very nice lady. I mean, it was a family-operated place, many, many years, had a great reputation. And every now and then you would go in there and ask, if you can have some fried rice with a particular dish. And she was notorious for saying, no come with fried rice. You pay extra.
I got it, lady. Thank you.
Like, fuck. You're really going to charge me a little extra there? I just spent $78 here on some takeout chow mein. So anyway, good to be with you guys. It's a fantastic day. We were very football intensive yesterday with John Kajemi in a Pigskin Playbook. And there were so many things, such a variety of things happening in the world of sport. We didn't even scratch the surface of what was going on. So we want to try and make up some ground today here on this show. And then, of course, you can catch us for a couple of hours now. They have smoothed out a few things on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. Is it safe to say that, or will we not get on the air today?
I'm nervous every day.
Warning, this is a new venture in a media world that sometimes is complicated. I mean, it's great that you can do all this on your own. You don't even have to be part of, you used to have to be on Fox Radio Network or, some kind of ESPN. But now you just make up your own network. It's great. Mm-hmm. Within seconds, you're a network. You start up a thing, and Tony Bruno's terrific. I was listening a little bit to him yesterday just to see how the thing came over, and phenomenal. What was good was we were concentrating yesterday, spent a lot of time talking about the Dolphins and Chiefs game, which I was reading some critiques of where the Dolphins are at right now. The general consensus, and are we misleading people badly? are we just kind of signing off on the Trump financial documents and saying, well, you know what? I think I'm worth 20 billion because my name alone enhances the value of this shit. Even though, people are saying that we're worth maybe 10% of that. But are we overinflating the optimism about the Miami Dolphins? I was reading a critique of the various teams, who's for real, who's not, that sort of thing on CBS Sportsline. And there was the implication that the Dolphins might be a little bit of fool's gold.
See, I don't think that people watch the Dolphins though. And I love Cole, but I'm like, I don't think he watched any of the Dolphins game because the idea he's like, the defense needs to come around. I'm like, dude, they shut out the Chiefs for a whole fucking half. The Chiefs, I think, got one first down. Did the Chiefs even move the ball? And like the Chiefs, it became a tight game in the third quarter. Yes. The Chiefs needed to move the ball, and I think they went 3 and out all but one drive. And the one drive they moved the ball, they got one first down. I'm like, oh, he didn't watch the game. And it's fine. Like, we do that all the time where I don't watch games and I just look at the stats and then you'll correct me. Like, Lubie actually was close. They just got a fucking fumble at the end. They fell into the end zone. So it makes it look like it's like the national media is clearly not watching them. Like, even that game versus the Chiefs, it was so early. They saw that it was 21-0 and they tuned out.
Well, and one of those scores was a defensive score.
Was a
questionable defensive score. So, in essence, after just getting hacked up completely on that opening drive and then having a subsequent score later on in the first half, the Dolphins limited the Kansas City Chiefs to 2 touchdowns offensively.
And people keep saying the Chiefs defense is really good. Okay, then the Dolphins offense is actually pretty good because they scored 2 touchdowns easily and then had 2 great drives that their coach got in their own way. So 4 out of their 5 drives in the second half, they did whatever they wanted. So why wouldn't we be optimistic about the Dolphins? Like, what are they watching? Like, I don't understand what they're missing.
They were half asleep in that first half. I mean, that was as ugly a half as the Dolphins have played this year. I drew the parallel. Maybe, I mean, is the Dolphin offense here's the thing that people are looking at, though, and maybe there's a little bit more evidence here than just that game against the Chiefs. If you look at the 3 games that they had against the teams that were supposed to be a challenge, 3 games that they had against teams that had winning records.
Yes.
The other teams were a bunch of dreck that they played. They were combined like 5-24 when they went in and lost to Philadelphia, and much was made of that. That was alluded to quite frequently. Well, you know what? The teams they beat were a bunch of garbage. Now, the Chargers on the road, that wasn't a bad victory at all. I mean, I don't think you could discount that as being a meaningless win over a patsy opponent. The rest of it, all right, the teams weren't exactly the strongest in the league. But nonetheless, they had lost in the 3 spots and hadn't scored a lot of points. This offense that's so dynamic that we're in love with, that's so electrifying, that's so explosive, was none of that in those 3 games, as they were held relatively in check in all 3 of those losses. And so you look at that and you're starting to think, wow, is this offense a little bit like, Lubie, cotton candy? Where when the guy's coming down the aisle with a cotton candy, even like when you're 72 years old like I am, you're thinking, yeah, that looks good. I want one of those. Never mind that it's like $8.
Yeah, and it's
little kids going back to their mothers crying at ballparks. I need more money. Imagine giving your kid like a $5 and he's going to get a cotton candy and it's not even like 70% of the price. Plus, you're going to have to leave the guy a couple of bucks. No, we always talk about tipping there in that lunchbox show, and how people get offended if they have to cough over another $1. But nonetheless, I mean, you look at this cotton candy, it looks great, doesn't it? You see the guy making it, and he's twirling the thing, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And then you take that first bite, and it just dissolves in your mouth, and you're like, yes. What the fuck is this? What do you think, Louie? Dolphins offense, cotton candy?
Look, I'm not. I
looks great on paper, my man.
Funny. It's the people that aren't looking into those teams, though. Like the Eagles have lost to the Jets, who just lost to the Chargers, so I guess the Chargers aren't so bad. The Chiefs had 3 points against the Broncos team. Like, why don't we do that? If you're gonna play these stupid fucking games with looking at schedules, like the Chiefs' offense is clearly not what it was. Why aren't they looking at that? Like the Eagles clearly aren't the same team. They can blame Hurts. Hurts doesn't look hurt to me.
He did when I saw some replays of plays in that game from that Philadelphia-Dallas game.
So don't play him then. I don't know what to tell you. Like all these other teams can make excuses, but the Dolphins are still not healthy. Like So
They have the potential to get better, no doubt, and they're going to have to. Not in this next stretch of games. I think they'll be good enough to win the majority of those games, maybe 3 out of 4 of their
yeah,
next 4 coming up after the bye week. But then those last 3 games will be that will be the real test of the Miami Dolphins. Well, it's how you play in December. But the cliche probably applies here, just the way the schedule is made up, because I believe the last 3 games are they not the Ravens, who have caught
yes,
fire lately and
or
look great? I mean, they have gathered a lot of momentum. Started out a little bit sluggishly to begin the season, and now really have demonstrated a vast amount of superiority to all of their opponents, slapping around just about everybody they're playing.
yes,
They also have to play the Dallas Cowboys,
Cowboys were
who I mean, even though they lost this game, and Mike McCarthy seems to be an impediment to any chance they have of having success. Could that go all the way? Do we just point the finger? I'm pointing a lot of fingers today, Louie. Do we just point the finger straight at Jerry? Because it's all Jerry's fault that they have these coaches that seem to be ineffective, that he feels like he can control. You think that's the dynamic there, or are we making that up? That Jerry Jones will never hire a coach that says, listen, Jerry, take your bullshit out of here. I'm going to run this team, and I'm going to do it the way that I want to. But they certainly have, potential, and I think they'll be very good at the end of the season and a big challenge for whatever Miami Dolphin team is out there. And then they finish out against the Buffalo Bills? Isn't that the last game of the year?
Yes, the end of the season gets rough. Like, that's the thing is, I'm the one that has concerns of the Dolphins. When everyone was saying, "Oh, the Dolphins are flying high," you could see deficiencies. I'm not saying, look, the Raven. To me, there's a clear delineation right now in the NFL. Again, in 2-3 weeks, like Kunjemi said yesterday, I think it'll change. Like the Ravens, as good as they're playing, I think someone will knock them off. But right now, the Ravens are just dominant on both sides of the ball.
They look
the
good.
Bengals are coming on, and then I think you have the Chiefs, Dolphins, Bills, and Eagles. If you want to put the Eagles up there with the Bengals and Ravens, fine, because they have the best record, but they haven't looked like it. And
They do have something, though, that is metronomic, and every coach wants to have, and that is a dynamic front line, both offensively and defensively.
Yes,
those are the 2 things that you want. You want to be able to, you got to be able to stop the run and pressure the passer. And, of course, the offensive line is among the best in the league, and that's maybe the reason that Jalen Hurts is able to stay alive back there.
Yes.
His knee appeared to be in suspect shape.
He's not running as much, and that's a big part of his game. And then that's probably why he's not as good a quarterback, because without the running, we've said and we've seen that he's not as good. So it makes sense. Yeah. Well, Burrow, no one thinks of him as a runner, I guess because he's a white guy. But when he couldn't
and he runs like Ichabod Crane.
When he couldn't run, he was average to bad. Now he can run again.
He makes Bernie Kosar look like Carl Lewis.
But he's actually athletic. He just looks.
But yeah, he's effective. He really is, and he was in the last couple of weeks, and it made a big difference in Cincinnati's ability on offense. All right, so we say, go ahead, finish up.
I think the Ravens and Bengals are right now a bit better. I still don't know with them, because I'm always waiting for teams to not let Jackson run, and then he's a different quarterback. And the Bengals, as good as Lou Anarumo is doing, he's not a magician. I don't think their defense is the same as some of these other defenses. But right now, they're the best. And then I think you have the Chiefs, the Niners, the Eagles, the Dolphins. And then the Bills may be in another level, because I don't know what the fuck's going on with them.
Bills seem to be falling apart a little bit.
But that's the thing. The Dolphins are as good as those other teams, and
they're good. I don't know that anybody could question that. I just I don't know. Are they championship caliber material? The way they've played against those 3 teams that they should have definitely had a bullseye on, in terms of saying, hey, we want to win these games because these are the important ones. To fall, in all 3 spots and have their offense be limited like that. Cotton candy, my friend. Cotton candy. So far.
I agree.
All right, we didn't want to dwell on football because there's so many other things, although we do have to comment very briefly on the Monday night game. The Jets falling last night to the Los Angeles Chargers, 27-6. It was somewhat close for a while, but we're seeing a lot of this on the news, are we not, Mike Lubie? An awful lot of this sort of thing on the news, where before the reporter goes ahead and goes to the videotape, the Warner Wolf thing, they have to caution you that, listen, we're about to play something that some may be offended by and might be particularly ugly to watch. Now, look, you have a lot of stuff going on. You have wars in Israel and the Gaza thing, and that's ugly to see no matter what side of the equation you're on, whatever your beliefs are. I mean, it's just hard to see cities being leveled by bombings and children being pulled out from underneath rubble. It's ugliness. And so, yeah, there should be a cautionary word mentioned about this video may be offensive and or just hard to watch.
Yeah.
I saw a video the other day on the news. Some woman just beat the living shit out of a 3-year-old kid. I don't know if you saw that on the local news.
Oh no.
Oh my God. I mean, it was so disgusting. And they prefaced it by saying, this may be difficult to watch. And then they played it 6 times. I mean, it's stretched into the Ozempic ad. You're hearing, Ozempic. And this woman literally is like kicking the shit out of this little kid. It was disgusting. Was arrested for it and should be prosecuted and held responsible and never be in the presence of that child again. I don't know how you make amends for that. But there was a cautionary note before that by the reporters. Some stations decided not to even run the video. They just kind of showed the beginning of it and said, that's as far as we want to go with this. Should there not be a cautionary video before watching the Jets offense play?
I love that. What's his name? Damian Woody tweeted yesterday. The Jets just had a quarterback; they'd be unstoppable. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but guess what? They don't.
When they Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas and Tim Bowens, and then they never won anything. Thank you.
It's amazing, yeah. No, and Zach Wilson became Sack Wilson last night. He couldn't get out of the way of anybody. Now, that was one of the concerns about the Jets, even when people thought they were going to be very good with Aaron Rodgers, was that the offensive line what was not going to hold up, and they were experimenting with moving Mekhi Becton around. He was a left tackle. He was a right tackle. Maybe he's not even good enough to be out there altogether. And then they had injuries. So, they're dealing with similar issues as a lot of teams, including the Miami Dolphins, that there just aren't enough good offensive linemen in the National Football League. If you can do anything, start feeding your kid a ton of food right now.
And teaching him to push.
Fatten him up. I always thought that the move was, when Jesse was in the birth stage and had yet to be born yet, I thought, well, why don't I just kind of drop a 9-iron in there and see if he can't get an advance on becoming a professional golfer, because I thought that would be the ultimate lifestyle. Now, I don't know that you have to be boring to be a professional golfer. Not everybody is. A couple of guys with personality out there on the tour right now. But personality, it doesn't require much to be a guy with just an outrageous, flamboyant personality on the golf tour. All you have to do is even have the most minor element of humanity, and you seem like, wow, can you believe this guy? What a great guy. I like Ricky Fowler, for example. Do we really know anything about Ricky Fowler? No. Does anybody get close to Ricky Fowler besides hot chicks? No. And the other golfers seem to really like the guy. But, I mean, in essence, it's kind of a guarded lifestyle, is it not? You don't have to be some flamboyant, outgoing, very personable type to be a professional golfer. But, man, if you can do it, what a lifestyle. It's just absolutely fantastic. But now I'm convinced, just fatten your kid up and make him an offensive lineman if you're having a son. And maybe even women will be playing professional football by then. So a big fat chick, on the offensive line, down be the way to go, because there is such a dearth, such a shortage around the National Football League that, think about it, 32 teams. So what is that, 160? You need 160 of these guys to field a decent starting offensive line. And there aren't 160 good offensive linemen out there. It's incredible what a shortage there is. But, that seems to be a problem. And that game last night was horrific. You had, a 3-and-out, and then the Chargers return a punt. So it's 7-0 right away. And on the Jets' first 5 possessions, I saw a graphic. They had, 3 punts, 2 fumbles, and a 3-and-out. And that was it. That's ugliness, Lubie. That's just pure ugliness. I would imagine when Robert Saleh goes into the meetings, he has to stand up there at the podium and go, listen, guys, this may be very difficult to watch. And may have to think about just holding back on actually showing the video of the Jets. But that was ugly last night. Now, a lot of other stuff happened. We had a couple of games here locally. The Panthers prevailed in overtime. I didn't see any of that game. I was out
Panthers
early last night, and I tried to play a little tennis, and this is not good, Lubie. Getting old sucks, that's for sure. That's well documented. Anybody that is we're all getting old, are we not?
We are. And then my mom always says it's better than the alternative, which is true, but it doesn't mean it doesn't suck.
My buddy, Dr. Jerry, who's the same age as me, we didn't go to high school together, but we lived in the same town, went to different high schools. So I've known this guy since I was like 15. We're now both 72 years old. He was telling me on the way into the courts that, and he's had, horrible knees. I think his knees are in worse shape than Jim Otto's.
No,
Well, I think Otto checked out a while back. There's another dead guy. Another dead guy. But if you ever saw there was a documentary or some kind of feature I saw many years ago about the debilitating long-term effects of playing in the NFL. And Jim Otto was the poster child for that. The guy could not get out of bed. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, we've seen guys in even tougher shape, that have really been broken down by playing in the National Football League with concussions and other disabling injuries. But Jim Otto, I mean, his knees literally were probably in the worst condition of any pair of knees that ever attempted to set foot on the planet Earth by the time he finished his playing career. And my friend who I played tennis with, his knees are about in the same shape. So he tells me on the way into the courts that he just had a shot of cortisone. I was recommending this stuff that I got juiced with a couple of years ago that actually provided me with tremendous relief. Now, from that time, I wasn't playing as much tennis, so I wasn't putting the same kind of stress on my knees, my old knees, which that they're very old at this point. When I go to doctors and they take a look at it, the first thing the guy says is, "Yeah, you're going to need a knee replacement pretty soon." And I'm thinking, well, let's see how long we can stave that off. I'd almost prefer amputation, although the procedure is supposed to be a lot easier now.
It's not bad. My mom needs them done, and she won't do it. But supposedly, it's not that bad anymore.
No, people say it's a miracle and that the recovery is not nearly as difficult as it used to. I mean, these were foreign concepts. It was like Christian Barnard saying, hey, how about a heart transplant? And everybody's going, hey, Chris, I think you've lost it. What do you mean? You're going to take the heart of a baboon and stick it in some guy's chest and he's going to go on living? Not happening. But look, I mean, they made remarkable strides in that in all areas of medicine. And you would have to say orthopedics has come just as far as any other discipline in the medical field, would you not? I mean, look at these guys, guys that used to have a torn ACL. Their career was over in the past. Now they're back in 6 months, even less time. And here's Aaron Rodgers talking about last night. He was teasing. Supposedly, he was talking to some of the members of the Chargers and saying, I'll be back in a few weeks. And he's walking around. I think, he's doing all this stuff in New York City because he was loving it. I think I even saw him at Radio City with the Riverwalk people shuffling around. I mean, the guy seems to have made a remarkable recovery. But no, I got juiced with this stuff. It was called Synvisc, and it worked really well. And I keep recommending it to people. We got Gurgles on that, and Gurgles is walking around, like he has a new pair of knees. It's incredible. So I find out that my friend, who's a doctor, he's a podiatrist, so he should know something about medicine. I keep telling him to get this Synvisc shot, and he says he discussed it with his doctor, and the guy decided to juice him with some cortisone. Mm-hmm. So he tells me on the way into the courts that he's been having, just tremendous pain, which is supposed to relieve the pain right away. When you get juiced with cortisone, you're supposed to be like fine, ready to kick the barn door down. Right after the injection goes in. It's one of those things where, it's like morphine, right? Where you're saying, just keep that going, doc. Maybe I can have an IV drip of this shit. So what do I do, Lubie? I go right to the drop shot.
You beat the shit out of him.
Which, it's one of my, I don't know that it's my favorite shot, but it's a shot that I happen to execute well. And, at certain times, instead of trying to, just belt one and hit it to the fence, you just slice a little dropper in there. It's like spreading a little butter on a piece of toast. Just slice it right in there. But it really was. I often reference this movie, which you've never seen, the Monty Stratton story, where Jimmy Stewart had one of his legs shot off in a hunting accident, and he comes back. He was a major league pitcher, and he comes back, pitches in an all-star game, and he's got a wooden leg. And this is a big return. And June Allison, who was in every Jimmy Stewart movie as the love interest, is sobbing in the stands. And he's doing well. And the manager, looks, and everybody's sympathetic to Monty Stratton. And he says, I hate to do this, but bunt on him. Finally, the guy, he threw his racket over the top of the fence, and it was in a place where it was unretrievable. That's evil, Lubie. That's just. But I couldn't help myself. I was so desperate for a win after losing to this guy last week that I went ahead and drop shotted him to death. And, I don't know if he's going to come back out and play next week, but don't get old, man. I mean, you start doing things that are contrary to your own personal beliefs that, you're out there to have fun, not necessarily always to win, but the competitive nature of people, Louis, just don't like to lose. All right, the Heat and the Lakers last night. I would imagine you were immersed in that. That was kind of interesting. LeBron coming back to town. I think the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, had gotten shelled in Orlando the previous night. It's just not an easy tour. I mean, we talk about the difficulties of being an East Coast team and taking that West Coast tour where you're playing Golden State one night and maybe the Lakers or Sacramento the next. Now that Sacramento's not a bad team, although they got hammered last night. But, the Orlando thing, very beneficial, you would think, to the team that is second on that back-to-back type of scheduling. And in this case, the Lakers, I think, if you go back to, did they not lose in Orlando on Sunday night? Just got shellacked.
Oh, maybe.
By the Orlando Magic. And I'm thinking the Lakers are going to be okay this year. I know you despise the Lakers and root for them to lose every game, which is fine. I mean, a lot of people do because they're overhyped. And yet, I don't know that you can hype them enough.
They played the Magic Saturday, so it wasn't bad.
Saturday, okay. And did they lose badly?
They lost. They lost by 19. Yeah,
19. Okay.
Yeah.
So last night the Heat are pulling away in the fourth quarter. I missed the first half, but it was tight. I think it was like 69-67 when I finally checked into the game. I didn't watch all of it. And then I'm back on that game in the fourth quarter, and the Heat open up by, I think it was like 12 points. And maybe 4 or 5 minutes to go in the ball game, and you're thinking, well, okay, nice win by the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler was back on his game. Was that the first game that he really exploded in?
It was his best game of the year so far, yeah.
Yes.
He led them in scoring, I think.
Led him in scoring. He had in this ball game. And look how much stuff was happening yesterday. Here's, my sheet usually has like 2 words on it. I've got like the whole sheet covered here. And it's just stock full of stuff. Here's my NBA section.
He had 28. He had 28, 6-4, or 4-6, however you put it.
Okay. LeBron ended up with 30. He had a monster fourth quarter in this game.
Of course,
LeBron James. So a good ball game, well played. The Lakers had, I would say, 4 excellent opportunities on. It was at least 3 possessions and maybe a fourth to win the game and or take the lead in the final minute of that ball game. The Heat kept missing shots, and the Lakers came right back down the court, and they kept missing shots, including an attempted lay-in by LeBron James, which he was unsuccessful on. And then at the end of the ball game, they have a 3 out of the corner, wide open, and it's a brick, and the Heat hang on for what you're hoping is one of those wins that starts to help them gather some momentum.
They've done this every game outside of the Wizards game, and the Wizards are just an abomination. The Heat have literally had lead. Even the Celtics game, they had a nice lead, I think, in the third. And every game, it's not the, it's the NBA, people have runs. No. They've had like leads in the fourth where you would think they're going to close it out and win. The T-Wolves, like they had a double-digit lead, I think, in the fourth for T-Wolves, and then lost by like 6-8. And the T-Wolves have turned out to be a decent team, but still, like, they've had this in every game except for the Wizards where they just won running away, including the Pistons, and every game became either a loss at the end or tight where they should have lost at the end.
Validating my rambling theory on the game, Jim Sarney, there was no scoring,
that's ridiculous.
Lakers or Heat, in the final 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the game, and many just easy and wide open opportunities. So it became Brick City there at the end of the ball game, but the Heat come up with a win last night. Interesting night all the way around in the NBA. As you had Embiid scores 48. Does every story about Joel Embiid, maybe this is just a New York thing because I get the Post, does it have to have an attachment that somehow he's going to the Knicks? He scores 48 points last night.
He's not going to the Knicks. Like
everybody, I mean, and they have an article here today, which I sort of perused a little bit, and I was talking about how he's well aware that the Knicks have an interest in having him.
Yeah, the Knicks may want him.
Is that worthy of mention even? I don't know. Do you write a story about that?
The Knicks have that the Sixers want. Like, that's the thing. He may not even want to be there. They may say, fuck it. Eventually, we don't win with him, so why not trade him? What do the Knicks have? Like, the Knicks are very happy with their assets. No one else is. Like, Randall is massively overrated.
Randall
Brooks.
had a big ball game last night, though.
Randall's
Maybe he
a
straightened
nice
himself
player.
out. He had
He knows
30
that.
points.
He's fun in the regular season, and then he
He,
sucks.
he has not been good this year, though, Louis. I will give you that for sure.
Well, he just sucks in the playoffs. I don't even care if he's good in the regular season. He's not proven in the playoffs. You can't count on him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done it every. He's done
Cut
it
his hair. Maybe that made a big difference. I don't know.
I don't know. All I know is
I
they
didn't
don't
recognize him.
The Knick fans love Mitchell Robinson. They love it. Emmanuel Quickly. That's
Quickly's
nice.
good. When you see Quickly, sometimes you say, "Wow, what's wrong with this guy? He looks great."
The other teams don't want them. The one guy that would be interesting is RJ Barrett, but again, this is now what year 5. Like, and he's still shown that he's not.
Barrett had a good game last night too. The Knicks ended up with a win over the Clippers, 111-97.
He's a nice player.
Barrett had 26, Randall 27 in the game. Harden made his first appearance for the Clippers, had 17 on 6 of 9 shooting. But let's see, do the math there. They lost by 14 to a suspect Knicks team, which had not been great so far. Tom Thibodeau, I mean, he really does look like he was sleeping with homeless people the night before, doesn't he? And that they were in better shape than he was in terms of appearance. Kind of crazy. But, yeah, a lot of good stuff happening in the NBA. Boston suffered its first loss. Denver bounced back. I think they had lost their first game of the season the other night. They hammered New Orleans as, once again, Jokic. Wow. Just another dominating performance, and that came at the expense of one Zion Williamson, who everybody's thinking is going to have a big year, and he looks like he's okay this year, and he looks like he's actually interested this year, like he's not detached. And yet they got hammered last night by the Denver Nuggets, 134-116. The Pelicans going down. Basketball, college basketball started out last night also. What is the New Jersey Institute of Technology, Lubie? Are you aware that there's even what technology? Is it petroleum that they're trying to educate these people to be involved with at the New Jersey Institute of Technology? Because they have all of those refineries there in Newark. It's really the highlight of traveling through New Jersey. Is you see all that smoke coming as you go to the Newark airport, and you're saying, "Yeah, just fly me to LaGuardia. Can you change the flight pattern on this thing?" Ugliness. But the University of Miami found them last night. New Jersey Institute of Technology. Is that like playing Athletes in Action? 101-60 to start their attempt to get back to the Final Four this year under the great Jim Larinaga. They did make an addition there. What do you know about this kid they got from Florida State?
Yeah, it's good. It's annoying.
Named Cleveland?
He would have been FSU's best player this year. It's annoying.
Matthew Cleveland. How did he end up at Miami?
Hamilton's done, and for some reason they won't get rid of him.
Okay. So he just walked out of there and said, that's enough. I mean, a nice addition because you lost a couple of good players. Jordan Miller.
He's been bad the last 2 years.
Long.
He was already old, but he was hanging on, and they've been bad the last 2 years. And for some reason, they won't get rid of him. And Cleveland just got fed. I mean, they were supposed to be good the last 2 years, and they were an atrocity the last 2 years. And came a calling, so he won.
Big story on the men's side. James Madison, speaking of Jim Larinaga.
Yes.
James Madison over Michigan State. At Michigan State, 79-76 in overtime. That was the first loss in November at home for Michigan State, I believe, in over 70 games.
Jesus.
So, they're playing the pre-conference schedule there. I would imagine that there are a share of patsies on there. But James Madison, not necessarily one of them. They were 22-1 last year. Their only loss coming in the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. So, they were not a horrible team, but nonetheless, they did knock off Michigan State. That is the first time since 2005 that an unranked team has beaten a top 5 team in the opening game of the season. So, and you know who the last one to be victimized by that circumstance was?
No idea.
Michigan State.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Tom Izzo, and the double whammy there, 2005. So 18 years later, he is surprisingly defeated by an unranked James Madison team when he comes into the game with the top 5 ranked Michigan State. All right, we're going to get into some pucks. Shoot the puck, Kozlov. Get into some pucks. This man was such a hit in his last appearance on the program, talking about the weirdness of goaltenders and whether he knew even to differentiate a puck from a bowling pin. It wouldn't matter. It's just fun to have him on the show.
I watch no hockey, so he knows more than me.
Our man Rino from the Heritage Restaurant is going to be with us. And, of course, his hockey tie-in is that his sister is married to Roberto Luongo. So he's been on the inside of this stuff. He's seen things that even Dale Talon was unaware of when he was the general manager of the Panthers. And
that's the scary thing.
And Reno wasn't a chef and a brilliant musician. He no doubt would be a hockey player because he has the mentality of a hockey player.
Oh yeah,
no question.
Explained a lot like, the way he attacks being a chef and restaurateur.
Yeah.
Where all these other chefs are okay. He's like, fuck
Yeah.
you.
This is a man who takes no shit.
It was like, oh, you played hockey your whole life. Well, that makes sense. And you're a rock star. Okay.
Exactly. Oh, great guy. So that's coming up. A little hockey analysis. I'm not sure that it's going to be Don Cherry necessarily, but I think it'll be even more entertaining. So we're looking forward to having our good friend Reno on the program. That's coming up in just a moment here on the Defo Show with Mike Lubie Lubitz. And we'll be back with that in a moment. Now that. I can't believe I was drop shotting this guy to death last night.
That was douchey.
That comes under the heading of cruel and unusual punishment.
That was douchey.
The kid, 72-year-old guy, he throws his racket over the fence and says, if you're going to do that, then I don't want to play anymore. Take your ball and go home, DeForest, you fat son of a bitch.
I love that.
It's 8:38.
Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. That could be another book that we put out. Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. The end is near. You can tell the end is near, man. You could definitely do that.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubie Lubitz, and this is a pleasure for us to introduce the man behind Heritage. Is it The Heritage or Heritage Restaurant? Reno, how are you, my friend? Good to have you back on the show.
What's up, boys? It's Heritage. Just Heritage.
Just Heritage, and an outstanding place. The location, you go right, you go left. It's right there, just south of Sunrise. Is it called Flagler Village? Because I wouldn't know where that was. I'm thinking, when you say Flagler, I'm thinking about the dog track, the old dog track.
So, yeah, the area is called Fat Village, Fine Arts and Technology District, where we are, like in our little circle, but the whole entire neighborhood that they're trying to build is called Flagler Village. So it's just this kind of, it's just a kind of, cool way of kind of incorporating how there's a lot of artists and creatives kind of all starting, their little businesses and stuff like that. So it's a cool area.
And of course, we know Reno, and this was great because the restaurant we discovered through Mike Mayo, who was a huge fan. Yeah. And the fact that you had these hockey ties, we were made aware of by the great Jim Sarney, who's also a huge fan of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Although he probably doesn't come in there poaching freebies like Mayo does or expecting a gratuitous treatment when the check comes.
Most people, when Mike comes in, they want to, I think he just got used to it. They want to throw free stuff at him so this way they get on his good side. But we all know I don't give a shit. And that's why me and him became such good friends, because little did they know how cool Mike is. And this isn't me ass kissing. He's such a cool guy that they wouldn't have to feel the need to do that. Just step up and do your job and do it right. And don't worry about it. And then he'll give you a good response or a good review.
Yeah, well, Mayo, he brought up an interesting point because I thought of you the other day. I was watching a feature on some guy in New York that was a longtime Italian restaurant owner and chef, and he kept reiterating, I guess they were interviewing the son, and he kept saying that his father's credo and motto was, and I don't want you to, just walk off the set here, that the chicken parm pays the rent at an Italian restaurant.
You know, I was wondering if maybe you spoke to my father this morning, okay? Because
Your dad gives you
because
shit too?
it was the same conversation. Not only, you know, like
No,
my dad's
get outta
now,
here.
he's at an age, I swear to God, my dad's now at an age where he like loves to repeat himself. I call him Bobby 2 times, right? Because he's like, he says everything 2 times. And he always tells me, like, he goes, "When are you just gonna put a chicken parm on the menu?" And I go, and I go, first off, I have the sandwich for lunch. That's all you need it for. And because why would I do the same thing that everyone else does? Why am I putting a chicken parm for dinner? There's so many other places that do that. I don't want to do it. And he said the same thing. He goes, "You'll sell so much chicken parm, you won't know what to do." I said, "I'll tell you what. How about we do this? How about you open up another restaurant again and you can sell all the chicken parm you want all over again?" I made chicken parm my whole life. I'm exhausted. I'm done with chicken parm.
Chicken Parm Shack, yeah. You know, it reminds me, I was at an Italian restaurant that's very popular, although I'm not as big a fan of it as some people are. Gianni's on Atlantic Boulevard.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
They've been there a
It's
long
popular.
time. A lot of people like it. I think it's good. I wouldn't knock it, but, you know, it wouldn't be my first choice. Of course, now that I've discovered Heritage, I mean, why would I go to Gianni's? But no knock on them. I mean, they do a credible job, and a lot of people seem to love it. So I go there for lunch one day to meet a guy, and I didn't really feel like eating, so he insists I order something. And they had like kind of an old battle axe sort of waitress there that you might more commonly find at a diner.
What kind of
And I order the chicken Caesar, and she looks at me with Reno like disgust and says, "A chicken Caesar? You could get that at a gas station."
Yeah. Oh, I'm so way to upsell it. Oh, it sounds delicious. You know what that really bothers. That goes right up with you're in an Italian restaurant. Why do you have a Greek salad?
Yes.
Why? Why is there a Greek salad on the menu? When was the last time you went? When was the last time you went to a Greek restaurant? And you're like, you know what? I'll take your finest Italian chopped salad or something.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't happen.
Let me
It
try the
doesn't make sense.
meatballs.
Let
Yeah,
me get you
exactly.
pasta.
Yeah, yeah. Try the meatballs wrapped in grape leaves. You'll love them. It's gonna be
All right.
fantastic.
I mean, have you been to any of the games with Roberto Luongo? Of course, your sister married to Roberto Luongo. You told us some great stories about the Panthers and behind the scenes stuff and things that your brother-in-law had experienced.
Yeah.
And you know, we particularly love the fact that he was a goaltender because, like
Black job.
you, as a restaurateur and a chef, you know, the goalies tend to be a little bit different than the
Yeah.
rest of the players.
Yeah.
But have you been following any of the activities of the team so far
So
this season?
yeah. I mean, I follow every year. I mean, it's been, you know, it kind of just started, so I'm still catching up a lot because a lot of the games are always while I'm at work, so I always have the app going on my phone. But I haven't been able to go to any games this year yet. But I plan on going to some. My brother-in-law, now that he works for the team, we tend to, not that I tend to go less, but he's always running around working. So when I am at the game, if I actually get there, he's always in the press box, and I don't get to see him till later. But when he was actually playing, I was actually more immersed in it. You know, whether being in downstairs in the in the room or stuff like that, in the locker room and stuff like getting to hang out with other players and their families, stuff like that. As far as this year, yeah, following along. They had a big win last night. I don't, got to step it up a little bit, and get physical a little bit more. We're missing some of that presence with a lot of injuries that we have going on with Ekblad and Montour and all that stuff. And but I think we're going to be all right as long as they stay healthy. That's kind of the common trend with the Florida Panthers always. Our depth chart was never really fantastic for in case in case we ran into a problem where there was injuries. If one player got injured, we're like, well, there we go, pack it up, go home.
But it was a year-long excuse, which
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it kept Dale Talon in the general manager's office forever, man. And I would imagine Dale was a huge fan of Roberto Luongo. Now did
Oh, yeah.
Luongo hang out more with goaltenders? Did they kind of keep to themselves? Is it a unit where they are separate from the rest of the team, or what
No,
was
no.
who were like his friends when he was playing for the Panthers? And have you
Oh.
met any of these cats?
Oh yeah, I met them all. I mean, when he was playing for the Panthers, it was I will say this. When he was in Vancouver, there was more of a I don't want to, and this isn't putting it down at all, but
Yeah.
there was a little bit more. There was a bit more of a like camaraderie.
Yeah.
There was
Oh, it was.
more. There was a lot more hangout sessions. There was a lot more team involvement. Even when I don't know if you know this, like fun fact, my my brother-in-law was actually the captain of the club for a little while. It was like the first goalie to do that in like 60 years or whatever it was. I don't know if you guys remember that story. That's another story in itself. So when he was the captain for a while, because goalies are not allowed to be captains, but Alain Vigneault made him captain and broke the rules.
Nice pronunciation there on
You
Vigneault.
like that, huh? You
Yeah,
like that?
that was
I named
good,
him
man. You
Vigneault.
sounded like Paul Maurice there.
That sounds pretty good, right? Now
Is
I
that
just
from
gotta
working
get a
in
glass
French
of wine here in the
restaurants?
morning. You know, when he was Alain Vigneault was on the team.
Nice. That's a nice French accent.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And
No,
Vigneault. Yeah. I
so
like
yeah,
that.
so there was a bit more camaraderie, and he was in charge of putting that together. But and he was friends with guys like Bieksa and well, who I will say he was very close to down here, Keith Yandel.
Okay.
He was friends with Yandel. Yeah, I mean, great guy because he was a little bit more of like he was kind of like
Grizzled
the
veteran.
last. Yeah, well, yeah, he was a veteran and he was the last of like the old school, some of that old school player where they had a little bit more of that vibe. A lot of these young guys, they like to keep themselves. But there's last year, him working in the office, aside from when he was playing, was probably the first time even he himself said there was something very special, which is why they got to the playoffs and got to the Stanley Cup final. There was something special in that room that they haven't seen in a long time. It was that brotherhood. It was that ride or die brotherhood. Didn't matter if you messed up or did awesome. You guys were going to Knox together, right? So that was something very special, which explains a lot. And you need that in a room to have a successful team, bottom line. And that was something that I actually was worried about when they started trading. Well, not because of any choice to them. There was a lot of shitty contracts that were had from a certain era. Let's just say that. And I thought that it was going to mess with some of that energy in the room that was going to show on the ice. And at the start of the season, it did. If you remember, last year was not hot.
Yeah,
And we got really lucky by making it. But what made it mathematically or not, whether or not we got Pittsburgh out mathematically, was just that belief of we don't stop until that last puck is dropped, and they pulled it off and made people believe again. So the team is good. As far as that brotherhood, if they could keep that going, I think they'll go far. And my brother-in-law has seen it firsthand that how important that is to not only win games but get asses in the seats.
That's
Always the freebies have to come into consideration.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, come to a Panther game. You get a popcorn, you get a burger, you get a free parking spot, a free jersey, you get a bobblehead, you get 9 bobbleheads, you get a commemorative. It's like you walk out of there like you just went to a shopping mall.
Which is dangerous if you bring a kid and they filter you through. I mean, this is almost criminal. They filter you through the gift shop.
Yeah.
So you have your 6-year-old grandson, and he sees Stanley C. Panther, and he may as well be dealing crack.
Well, I mean, it's brilliant. They lock all the other entrances and make you go to the store.
The only way
in Pantherland. Put the toys to the front.
What the fuck am I doing here? Yeah, I would rather be at It's a Small World at that point.
I said,
buying one of those ice creams with the 2 chocolatiers for $26.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Let me ask you, because that's the thing is like being on the ice or in sports in general, but you played hockey. So let's say being on the ice and being in a restaurant, how important was it to have not only could Chuck come in, and I think that's what it was, is not only he came in, but like he does everything. Like he doesn't give a shit. He's going in there and he's fighting in the corner. He's going in there and he's sticking up for his team, for the goalie. He's going in there, we find, with a broken collarbone and playing every friggin' game. Like it feels like it took them time to see who he was, and then once they realized who he was, they followed his lead. Same thing I feel like in a restaurant. Like when you have you're the chef and we saw you come in, you're cleaning cups and you're welcoming people and you're seating people. Like the fact that like the big boss man, the big dude, is doing the lowest job, to me, it endears a lot of people, especially on a team or in a business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, it's no secret. It starts from the top. If you have shitty leadership, you're gonna have a shit team. That's just the way it goes, because no one's gonna want to work for you, let alone work with you, right? So
We were in radio. We understand that 1,000%.
Yeah.
The management hated us. They hated all the people that were on.
It doesn't help.
Yes.
No, it's important. You gotta. And I say this all the time, and I'm not. Not because we're doing a sports show. I always tell people owning a restaurant, building the team is a lot like building a sports team. And in my case, I say it's like being on a hockey team, right? Because when you're on a hockey team, like again, and hockey in particular, you know, you really have this really really close unit. So the restaurant's the same way. Your servers, your forwards, you're this guy's your defenseman. Your go. You have to have that mentality. It's a team player. It's not, well, this is my job. I'm just going to do my job, and that's your job. You do your job and separate. It's like, what do you need? Can I help you? It's just you have to have that way when you build, and especially from the top when you start that way, you're building the culture, and then the rest of it falls into place. If you build that culture, people believe in the culture, the business takes off and the business will go forward because people want to be a part of that culture. That's why people knock on, corporate places. When they try to do like that forced culture and you have like your stupid little lame seminars and stuff like that, they're like, we're doing team building today. And you talk to grown ass men like 5-year-olds, be like, no, man.
We were in radio.
Like, relax. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. One of our best cooks right now just found his wife in bed with another man. Like, she's smoking a cigarette. Everybody, bring out the tequila bottle. Yeah, we know it's 9 a.m. Let's go, baby. Cheers. We got you, buddy. We got you. Let's go. Like, that's just the way it is. That's real culture. That's real team building, my ass. Okay, now turn to your right and tell them why you like her, and turn to your left and tell them they did a good job. Kiss my ass. How about that? Be like, listen, buddy, you sucked last night. All right? You were on the verge of getting fired. I almost wanted to just headbutt you in the middle of the dining room. Let's have a beer and let's do it again. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
It's like being on a team.
We went to any number of meetings. We talk about it from time to time where the CEO
of
of iHeart Media would come and he would give you this brilliant, state of affairs that was going on right now, even though you had just read that morning on some wire copy that the company was $30 billion in debt since this guy took over. And then people were cleaning out their desks right after the meeting, after he just told you how valuable you were to the company. And it was all bullshit. You would be Matt Kachuk, though, in the restaurant business. So would you not?
Yeah.
I mean, you were the guy that, Mayo, comes in there, asks for a freebie. You'll check him right into the wall.
I'll check him right out. Listen, I have those big garage doors. I'll open it and just check I'll hip check him right out. No, so going back to your point about Kachuk, it was very important to have a guy like that on the team.
Yes.
We were missing that for a very, very long time.
Huge element.
Hockey is, you need those guys. Like for me, it was a big loss to lose a guy like Ratko Gudas because he was one of those guys that just
my favorite player.
Just his beard scared the shit out of you, right? So,
and the goon has been a lost art in hockey.
Yeah, and it is such
this team.
It is such an important element. The last guy that we had that was really tough before Ratko was Gabranson. And he was like the sweetheart, nice guy.
He didn't even look for the puck; he just looked for heads.
Yeah, and but
that's it.
You need that. You need that so bad to. There's a thing when you're on the ice, because believe it or not, even though I'm 180 pounds, whatever, when I was younger, I weighed a little bit more and I was the goon, but not in a goon in a bad way. Like, your team needs to know you have someone that's going to stand up for you all the time.
Yeah,
and that's
perfectly,
the way you can go on the ice.
Yes.
And that's the way you can go on the ice and talk shit and be an asshole. That's not what it's about. Like, for them, it's just like, all right, I'm going to go in head first. And if I'm getting pummeled, I know the first guy that's going to be in there. So you need that. And when you don't have that, especially, on a team like the Panthers, teams take advantage of that.
Yep.
They're going after your European skaters with the hands.
Used to beat the shit out of Victor Kozlov. Yes.
I'm telling you. That's how Vancouver lost the Stanley Cup in 2010, 2011. When there was an ex-Florida Panther on the team named Nathan Horton. Okay.
Yes.
It was Vancouver. Nathan Horton got hit by a guy named Aaron Rome, knocked him out. Boston was up Vancouver was up 3-0 in the series. My brother-in-law was one game away from winning the Stanley Cup. Boston went in the room in the first intermission, was like, look, we got nothing to lose. Let's just beat their ass. Came out the next
like
period.
Vegas did last year.
Exactly. Came out the next period, demolished the Vancouver Canucks physically, made everybody shit their pants. By the end of that game, series was 3-1, and then swept us the rest of the
Wow.
way. Won in Game 7 purely off of physicality. Purely
Tying
off
the
of
Hall of
physicality.
Famer, his Stanley Cup championship, which is, that's like winning the Kentucky Derby in horse racing for these hockey players, the way that they
Yeah.
covet this award. Excellent stuff as always. Heritage, the hours of operation are, Reno, because Lubie and I can assure everybody that this place is it's way more than it's even cranked up to be. Because,
It's fantastic.
you just put it out there, Reno, and people come in there, they love it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
That bouillonnaise, my God.
I know.
Still,
You're still talking about it.
I can still taste it. That's the mark.
Wow.
I always tell Mayo
Is that
this.
because
That's
you
the
have
mark of a good
indigestion?
dish.
Do you have indigestion, or are you still tasting in a good way? Is it repeating on you still? Did you take?
I'm still
did you take
burping up salami from 14 years ago at this stage. And I'm happy.
Before we let you go, and I think we're going to have you on again, so I don't need
You
to
got it.
promote it too much, but we're big fans of the Visilato Food and Wine Festival.
Yes.
It is fitting that their opening dinner is at Heritage. It is January 8th, 7 o'clock. What can people expect? I know you just did a really cool event where you fused Asian and Italian cuisine, which seemed really cool.
Yeah,
what can
yeah.
people expect from this dinner?
So I do it every year, and it's for a good cause. It's for the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital, which is very, very important to me. You know, you gotta, as much of a badass as I want to be, I'm a bit of a softie, and you have to give back. So, when we got the opportunity to do it 3 years ago, this is going to be our 5th event. I made a deal with them saying, listen, as long as I could be on because I'm closed Monday, Tuesday. So I'm like, as long as I could be on a Monday or a Tuesday, I'll do it every year for you guys. And and any other event, any other event. What to expect? I do a cool tasting menu every year. We usually do a 5-course meal. People come in, they'll come in at 7, have a beautiful 5-course meal. Again, all in the name of Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital. We have a great time, and we launch kind of the whole event for them. I became very close to the guy who runs the event, and I just want to help any way I can. So that's pretty it. I just want to make good food for people to have a good time, and for a good cause. So January 8th is this year, and we're gonna keep on doing it to keep on spreading the good.
Exceptional. And closed Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then, so
Lunch
the rest of the week,
service.
lunch and dinner, right?
Lunch and dinner. Lunch 11:30 to 3, dinner from 5 to 11, and it's a party. It's a vibe.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a vibe. No,
Reno, I think anybody that caught you on the show would be very tempted to try your restaurant. And,
Come and hang out.
It's fantastic. They can be belching up that stuffed pepper with me for the next 2.
Perfect. Great. It comes with a side of Prilosec. You're fine. You're gonna have a little. No worries. You're all good.
Thank you so much for being with us on the show.
Thanks,
Always
boys.
a pleasure.
Always good to see you, man. Hope to see you soon.
You're a great American. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going out there. I already was talking to him. I was trying to pull a Mayo and be like, my wife loves real authentic Italian.
I almost asked for the invite there on the air. Would it be, typical of us to stiff the charity, deprive? I mean, this story with Cody and Cody's Wish from the Breeders' Cup, very sad. I mean, the kid died like the day after Cody's Wish won the Breeders' Cup race, and it was like a thriller and Manila finish. There was an inquiry. Some would say, the stewards had to be especially reluctant to possibly disqualify this horse, not only because of the magnitude of the race. It was kind of a touch-and-go thing. I've been taken down for less than that with horses that have won. But, wow, this poor kid that, the story was all about with the naming of the horse, Cody's Wish. And he's there in a winner's circle. And the next day, unfortunately, he passed away. So wild, conclusion to what otherwise was a real heartwarming story. Now, we tease Mayo because he was rooting against. We thought he was rooting against crippled children because he hates Cody's Wish.
Yeah, weird about that guy. He's like, look at him. He's ecstatic, and they show the kid, and he has no look at all. Like,
poor kid's about to die, and Mayo's saying, "Stinking shark."
Yeah, I was like, "What's wrong with you?"
Should have taken him down. He's screaming, "Take him down! It's a travesty! It's an outrage!" But that would be similar, would it not? If we tried to poach a freebie from Reno for a charity dinner, that's just uncalled for audacity at that stage. Yeah.
Well, we'll find out.
You got to at least throw a stick into the cause or something.
Oh yeah. I have no problem, whatever for the charity, but
yeah.
If we promote the guy.
I almost did it. I know you were about to
Oh,
also, Libby.
I'm not going to do it on air.
That was good hockey analysis. I thought that was. We're going
was
to have Reno on the Bruno show also.
Yeah,
I,
we
I
can.
think that'll go over on the radio as well.
Yeah, we can. The fact that
we
we
never alluded to the standings at all. Nothing.
we didn't talk anything hockey, but it was great.
Yeah, the Panthers went to overtime, I believe, last night to beat Columbus. And you know who's doing well? Vegas is 11-1-1. They're doing great. Vancouver, they're a forgotten entity, aren't they? Do you even know they have a team in Vancouver anymore?
I only knew them when Luongo was there because they were really good for like a 2-3 year stretch, and then also
And they had Pavel Bure.
Bure was the other one.
Bure put him on the map, and Luongo. Was Luongo on those Pavel Bure teams?
Oh no, Bure
No,
was early '90s. Luongo was
after
early
that.
2000s.
Okay.
2000.
All right. So yeah, there you go. I mean, speaking of the chronology of my NHL
Bruins are
knowledge,
kicking ass
what
when
was
Jim-
Gump Worsley on those teams? See, I don't know that you have to get too specific about hockey to have a good hockey discussion, and that's what I love about having Reno as our hockey analyst here. Boston 9-1-1. Detroit was off to a good start, but they slipped lately a little bit. The Rangers, wow, the Rangers 8-2-1 so far in the season. The Islanders also have a winning record, but it seems like every team. Is it possible for every team in the league to have a winning record?
Yes, it's impossible. I don't think everyone can have a winning record.
Who sucks? Oh, San Jose. 0-10-1. Wow. Could they go unvictorious for the whole season? They have 1 point so far in 11 games. That's disgusting.
They'll figure it out. But yes,
Heads are going to roll there.
Edmonton now sucks for some reason, and they went pretty far last year. Calgary's bad.
Seattle, the Kraken were a remarkable story as an expansion team in a postseason last year. And they're not off to a particularly swift beginning.
There's plenty of bad teams. Panthers, thank goodness, are not one of them. They're sort of
Sidney Crosby's got to be 70 years old, no?
He's old now, yeah.
He broke in with Bobby Hull. Incredible. All right, we have to run. We have a lot to do. Catch us on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. I think things are getting a little better there. Are they not, Lubie? We were able to do a show yesterday.
Yeah, it was good.
Our timing is a little off because we don't have the same means of communication that we do here. I'm so used to seeing you.
Yes.
That I'll drop off into something thinking you're going to come in with a comment, and then there's dead air for a second, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you think about that, Mikey?" Which is my least favorite thing to have to do, where you have to ask the guy to get engaged in a conversation. Hey, Lubie, what about that? Well, Mike Lubitz, what do you think about the Jets? Those sort of things are awkward. You want this to flow like a regular conversation, especially in a radio circumstance. We were pretty good at it. Did we have a means of communication when we were doing the remotes?
No, we talked in the breaks. I mean, we never talked.
That was it? Okay. Because the timing there was good, I thought, back then.
We got that. You would do remotes every week, so we got used to that. And then again, the last 2 years, we were never in the same room.
It's weird, yeah.
But the problem is we went from that to being able to see each other the entire show.
and communicate also. I mean, I know when you want to come in with a question or something.
There's a chat.
Where is it? I have no idea. All right.
We get this
we'll forge our way through it. We do have some good things coming up on that program, including our good friend Ian Eagle.
Iron Man
is going to join us on the show, and Glenn Geffner. We didn't get to all this baseball stuff here in the hour that we had with you. So,
baseball world really
weird. Man, Carlos Mendoza to the Mets, Counsell to the Cubs.
Well, the Marlins. It's funny after the whole fucking
Marlins hired a guy Bendix, not William Bendix.
Yeah, a good guy. So it's like, shit. Am I mad?
That even trumped the Kim Eng hiring, did it not?
That's the thing.
It's like so long, Kim. I went from.
Yeah. That's the thing. I was like, fuck. I was leading the charge on.
Dare I say it? Sayonara.
Oh, Jesus. But the thing is, like, they went and got a guy that was leading the team, doing the thing we want the Marlins to do. And more, because the Marlins actually have money. The Rays don't. The Marlins do. The Marlins can have money. This is not a small market. Tampa is.
No, I mean, I would have to say they lay over Tampa Bay in terms of circumstances.
We treat it
even
like
though they're hard.
Yeah. But if they won and got crowds, they could spend money. So to get a guy that's used to dealing with no money to be able to maybe have some money in his pocket, I was like, shit, I guess maybe there was a reason.
And I could see where Kim Eng wouldn't want to be a subservient, coworker, and not coworker necessarily, but, under the guidance of this guy, Bendix, because all of a sudden, who's going to be calling the shots, her or him?
Well, the thing is,
it's going to be him.
Their issue was the draft. What organization drafts better? They never keep anyone, yet they win every year. They have to draft well. Like,
Jesus. They find guys like a Rosarina, like, in the field somewhere in Costa Rica. It's an amazing thing. Just like Fernando Valenzuela was discovered on some sand lot in Mexico. Nobody ever looked at the kid. A fat, pudgy kid, and he's like 15. All of a sudden, he's in the big leagues. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun. We'll have a little old school with Tony Segreto. Tony should be joining us, and hopefully under more favorable circumstances. Last week, unfortunately, a loss in his family, and he came to us with what he had from Detroit. But I'm thinking a somewhat more refreshed Tony Segreto will be joining us tomorrow, and a lot to talk about. Do we always have to get into Mario Cristobal with Tony?
You do.
It's a mystery to me. I guess anybody could look at this and see how you could essentially be a failure at many aspects of your job, and be so richly rewarded that they can't afford to get rid of you.
100%. I mean, he's not going anywhere. If you think he's getting at least 3 years, and he'll probably get more. To be brutally honest.
What is that? An 8-year deal for 80?
Yes.
I would say.
Oh, it was a 10-year deal. Wasn't it a 10-year deal?
For 10-year deal for 80. 10-year deal for 80. Okay.
He's not getting 10 million a year.
All right. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a big enough number for me. I mean, anything over $1 million. I'm retiring in 2 years. I'm not even going to worry about it. The buyout clauses, though, I mean, what enormous. How desperate are you? You can't find another guy that maybe is an upstart. I know it's not a popular thing to do. The Mets kind of did this, right? They got a guy. He's been in the weeds for a long time with the Yankees, Carlos Mendoza.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would think that for $80 million, maybe you go 30 and you get some guy that is a discovery of yours.
They had been trying that. Look, the Cristobal
hasn't worked. You're right.
People like me didn't think they could get Cristobal, so I'm not mad that they got him. It's what do you do when you get the guy of your dream and he becomes a nightmare? Like, what the fuck do you do?
You hate to see it. I mean, capable of assembling a good team and just seemingly inept on game day, like beyond the scope of even Larry Coca. Randy Shannon never made moves like this. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow with Tony Segreto. We'll get into that a little bit with Tony. And college basketball, of course, cranked up. We didn't get a chance to talk too much about that. So we'll see you tomorrow as we leave you on that.
The time.
9:09.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.